Hey, hey, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have a special guest with me. We have Drea Essex, who is a 3-5 emotional manifestor. And y'all, this woman is changing the face of dog training in our community, and I'm certain eventually the world. She has been so fun to get to know, not only from a business perspective and to see the awesome vision or visions that she has for so many different things as a manifester, but to really get to know her and know how much she cares about really changing the way that people interact with their dogs and have a lot more fun along the way. So, Drea, welcome to the show, and please share a little bit more about you with our listeners.
Hi, my name is Drea. I live in Grand Junction, Colorado. I love mountain biking with my dogs. This is my current go-to thing. But my whole premise of my business is to encourage people to have a deeper and better relationship with their dogs and get them beyond the backyard. Just because your dog can do it at home does not mean that your dog can do it anywhere else. So I really like to encourage all my clients to develop a better relationship and a stronger relationship with their dogs and go out and play with their dogs and truly have fun with them.
You know, this phrase that you said, beyond the backyard, you and I know there's quite a story behind that in your own evolution as a person, learning your human design and like seeing that your bold vision is something that's meant to come out. And I would love for you to tell us a little bit more for, yes, about this beyond the backyard and what your vision is for how people get to experience life with their dogs. But throw in like how you knowing you're a manifester or a 3-5 profile has helped you evolve that vision and really embrace what you truly see for the world.
So before I met Anna, I had no idea anything about human design. So I was just winging it. However, several years ago, I had this very intense vision of where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And I knew that it was out there and I had to go forth and conquer. And cut forward a few years later, I met Anna and she told me about the 3-5 manifestor. And I'm like, no, but also, yeah, okay, maybe possibly, because that actually does make sense. I know exactly where I want to go. I just don't know how I'm going to get there, but I can see it as if I could step into the picture right now. And I also have learned so much about my emotional authority, about taking that step back and thinking about it, not saying yes immediately and waiting for that neutral feeling about it before saying yes or no. I've also learned that I'm meant to experiment, which I do in my business. I do this a lot with dog training, and it's finding out what the dog does, what motivates one dog versus what can motivate another dog, and finding the new answer. Because like Anna said, I want to build it from the ground up. So this goes into the 5 side of the lines that I just love.
And it's been so fun because that vision that you have, right? We live in a community that, and probably a lot of our listeners, right? You get a new dog or you want to take your dog for training, and there's a lot of standard training centers, or a lot of trainers do the same, they teach the same things. And what I loved about you when we first met and you started talking about going on these adventures and taking your dogs on hikes and like teaching people how to have their dogs like out in nature and doing fun things like agility. And it was so cool to see this very innovative vision of what it could be because you're still training and doing so much, but it was like this concept of something I'd never heard of. And I'd love for you to share with our audience like, that really owning and embracing that. How has the journey been? Because I know that's not what you envisioned, or it's maybe what you envisioned, but it's not what you were putting out at first. And now this whole idea is coming to life and you're talking about it so much more.
So at first, I was really afraid to put myself out there because what you see on Facebook, Instagram, and all these other social media platforms is this perfectly well-behaved dog, usually in a sterile environment. But when you put them out into the real world where real people are going to run into them or real dogs are going to run to them, and you run into these bumps and you have to be, okay, what do I need in this scenario to get the best out of this dog to move forward? And really leaning into that growing with the dog and growing their world is what I really want to do with dogs. I don't want them to be confined in the backyard. I really want them to go out and live their life to the fullest. But way back when, our dogs lived and worked with us every single day. There was no such thing as I go to work and my dog stays at home. They usually went to work with us and they were meant to work several hours a day with us. And that's what I like to do. So what I've been really leaning into, and this came from my human design, thanks to Anna and like telling me how I can more lean into this and more follow it, is by doing that trial and error and showing people like it's not perfect now, but this is what we're gonna do to help make it better. And this is what the dog looks like now as we're working on this problem.
It's been so cool to see this evolution because I really want our listeners to take away. So if you're listening, like really tune in, is that this stuff about us that's naturally our design is already in there somewhere, right? Everything you've shared, Drea, is about all these things that you already thought and knew and believed, but learning your human design, understanding it, that is what has helped you like actually embody it and feel like it's okay, and giving you the permission or validation that like, oh, these things I think there's a reason for them, and this way that I act, like there's a reason for it. And there is, y'all. Enter human design. But it's been so fun to see you and many of my other clients, right? We just suddenly, it's like we step into who we truly are. We really own that next version of ourselves. And I feel like it is always a continual evolution, but you know that everything going forward is better, is more aligned, and a whole lot more fun.
Oh yeah.
So, Drea, I would love if you shared with the audience, anybody who's listening that is a manifester first. I would love like a manifester pro tip of anything that you would want our manifestors to know. Y'all lean into this more.
The first thing, and I'm going to tell you guys to do as manifestors, is to lean into asking for help. We are fantastic about initiating the idea. We see where we want to go, but we're not so great about following it through to the end because we're meant to initiate and let the other signs help us get to the end. So really reach out for those people that can help you and don't work like a generator, which is what we've been
You're a
taught.
generator.
We're not supposed to be a generator, and it's really been a very humbling and very intensive like thing to deprogram that I can't go. Eventually I'm gonna hit brick wall and it's gonna hurt, versus if I actually take a step back and I relax and go back into this like quiet space and recuperate before the next idea comes. But that would be my biggest pro tip is you need those people to help you during those downtimes. When we have our up cycles, I swear to God, it's like I'm bulldozing everybody. I can go faster than anybody else. But the moment that rest cycle hits, it's like somebody threw on the emergency brake and now I'm squealing tires out. So I need that help whenever I hit that rest cycle. And I encourage every manifestor to reach out and find those people that are going to continue the idea forward with you and run at your pace.
And what I love about what you just said is truly, wholeheartedly, I believe that when we all lean into our unique design, the whole collective rises. And I talk about that from a human design perspective all the time, but from a practical business perspective, whether it's because you're not designed to from a human design perspective, or it's not a skill you have, or it's not even something that you desire to do. Like you and I had always talked about, you love to be outside with dogs, like maybe I shouldn't be doing my bookkeeping anymore. So let's hire a bookkeeper, let's hire a web designer. So you can be more in your zone of genius from a practical business perspective and from a like enjoyable human design perspective.
Oh yeah, no, and I gave up so many of the things that I hated to do, and I spent more time outside and more times in my environment that we're supposed to be in. The more ideas flowed, the better I felt, and I didn't feel so overwhelmed and bored, for lack of a better word, by these other things that still have to happen in a business and still have to happen in day-to-day life. It wasn't energizing to do it.
And that this is the whole like point of business and commerce and like our economics is that you're hiring someone and then someone's hiring you, and it's a really beautiful symbiotic cycle. And one thing that I want to maybe get your thoughts for anybody who, 'cause I remember when you first were you learning human design, you were like the yes, but the no. And very, very much like I could feel your resistance. I was just like holding the space for you to for it all to click. And for anyone who is feeling that resistance, because I remember when it did click, at least that I feel like I have a very few moments in my mind. And what would you say to someone who is out there? Yes, I read the pages, but also, do I really believe this? To, yep, this is the thing. Like, what advice would you give that person?
Oh, I would say one, try it out. Try out the way that the book tells you a manifestor is supposed to do things. Because as a manifestor, speaking to other manifestors only, because I don't know about the other signs as well, but we're meant to initiate. We're meant to start the conversation, and we're really good about doing that. And we're really good about all these other things. And something that I've noticed about myself, I've learned this really well and initiated it, or always got the ideas flowing, and I started putting two and two together. As a manifester, I hate being questioned with a burning passion. I never put that together until she started teaching me about it. And then I was like, oh my God, no wonder I get so defensive, because I feel like you're questioning my integrity. I feel like you're questioning all these things about me versus like I've implied it with my own life where when I have a close friend or family say, instead of, hey, I see that you haven't cleaned your bedroom, for example. So I know it's a really bad example, but rather than being like, hey, why don't you clean your bed? Somebody saying, hey, I noticed your bedroom looks a little dirty. And just putting the idea out there
This is
versus,
great, great tip. My husband's a manifestor. Straight up, we'll be using this today.
yeah, no, like I've noticed because me and my mom, we live together and we communicate, and she loves asking questions, and I hate it. I immediately go on the defensive for no reason, and I've never understood why immediately I would be put on the defensive. And when I read that about in my human design on the manifestor side, and their solution was to just put it out there or to put it on a list. Put it down on a list so I can check it off as an item to be done versus a question that has to happen.
Mm, I like that. So many good tips in this episode for our manifestors. I'm so grateful that you came on here. It's been so fun getting to know and watch you. And for anybody out there who wants to get to know you more, connect with you online, how can they find you?
So they can either go to my website, which is balancingpawsgj.com, or they can follow me on social media. I have both a Facebook and Instagram, both of which are called Balancing Paws, and it's me hanging out with some dogs.
Amazing. We will make sure all those links are in the show notes for anyone that wants to connect with you. But girl, like you go out there and get dogs beyond the backyard, because I know that that is something that is meant to come to life.
Yes, do agree. Absolutely.
All right, y'all. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers to your success.